Welcome to the ReDirect podcast. We appreciate you joining us and listening to our conversation about finding your purpose in retirement. I'm Dale Tesman, and I'm joined by my good friends, Curt Brewer and Adam Columba. Morning, guys. I don't know about you, but I'm really excited about this day finally coming that we're launching the ReDirect podcast.
Dale, it's very exciting. We've been working on this thing for 5 months, and we're ready to take it a test drive, and I'm really looking forward to having a conversation today.
Totally. It's been a lot of fun getting here, right? And I'm pretty excited to get things kicked off. I think people are going to dig our different kind of conversation about preparing for living in retirement. The things we're going to try and tackle today and at large throughout the podcast. First, the need to just pick a date when you're going to retire and just do it. And if you don't forecast it or plan for it, the date itself, it may never come. Creating an action plan in retirement, which I think is we're excited to really unpack some of that today and how all of that started the redirect origin story. And then that big mystifying word purpose, which I'd like to boil that down to just pursuing meaning in life. So I think that's what we're going to get into today.
Man, that's a lot. Can't wait, but we're going to start right now. We're going to talk about the ReDirect-U concept and its origin story, what we used to call the creation story. So, Curt, you're the one that really kind of started this idea. Why don't you just tell us a little bit about Redirect and how it came to be?
Yeah, guys. Well, I've been in the sporting goods industry for over 35 years in sales management. Like everybody else, you're in your career, you're doing your thing, and then there comes a time where you're in your 60s and you start talking to other people that you know of your peer group, and they start to retire. And I came to that point, and I started thinking about what's it going to look like, how am I going to deal with it, what's going on, and I knew it was coming, but it was hard because I loved what I did. I loved getting in front of the customer and making sales presentations, enjoyed working with the people that I worked with and mentoring them, even my replacement, working with him to sort of have the succession plan. But what I loved about work was the hunt. I loved to get out there. I loved the aspect of sitting in front of a customer and just taking them on a journey to explain what we were trying to accomplish at that time.
Kind of the natural piece of sales, right?
Yeah, strategic planning. It's something that I really, really enjoy. And it was great. It was a great time, a great experience. It provided for my family. I made a lot of great relationships. But then there came this time where I was sort of realizing that it became a grind. You do the same thing year after year, month after month, day after day, and it was getting tired. And I started thinking about, I don't really want to travel across the country anymore like I used to.
And you stacked up decades doing that.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not like you were in it for the last 5.
No. I mean, my whole world that I was in was based on a quarter system. So we were planning 6 months out. So I never really lived in the present. I was always 6 months out. It was difficult to bring myself into the present, being always out ahead of it.
And the grind of 30 quarters. Right?
Yeah. And it got to the point where I've been doing this for 35 years. And I realized that there might be something more out there.
I know the feeling. I was in an industry where I really learned to love the hunt and the relationships that we develop. Your whole world builds around those relationships. And, those people are there year after year. And it's something that you really do come to love and know as part of your career. So, but obviously the career, that's not what all life is about. So
breaking news. Yeah. So what influenced your decision to retire and then start up this ReDirect-U?
Well, it wasn't something overnight. And I had a very dear friend of mine about 5 years ago. And he said to me, Curt, you'll know when it's time. You'll get up in the morning and you'll just say, it's time. It's not having a bad day at work. And then the next day you get up and you're back into the grind. It's like, it's time. And I had that day. I woke up and I said, there's got to be something else that I can do.
Is there something that happened? I mean, what triggered that? I mean,
Matthew McConaughey, I read his book, Green Lights, and he has this wonderful quote in there that says, sometimes we have to leave what we know to find out what we know. And that was inspiring to me because the best part of my life could be ahead of me. But unless I do something about it, I'll never know. So, I I started thinking more about it, and I said, okay, let's research this deeper. How can I get into it to get myself going? Yes, I was fortunate enough. I have 401ks, and I've got a financial group that are taking care of that. I had professionals that were taking care of my monthly funds from Social Security. I had professionals in the financial world taking care of my investments. And then I had professionals in the healthcare world that were taking care of the needs that I will have down the road for healthcare. But then I said, what about me? What about the person? Because here I was working, grinding it out. And on a Friday, when I'm putting in my last day, I've got meetings all day, talking to people. And then come Monday, there's nothing on the schedule.
Yeah, so that person piece of it, that's really the secret sauce of ReDirect-U and the Redirect podcast, taking care of the person. That's what we're going to get into. So tell us more about that.
Well, the word itself, I have to give credit to my wife, Jackie. She said to me, Curt, you are not comprised completely of what you did in work. You are now redirecting yourself to something else. I'm like, wow. That's sort of cool.
A word that just sticks.
It stuck. Yeah. And then I looked at it, ReDirect-U. All right. And then there's a little dash in between. ReDirect-U.
.com, folks, if you're looking for it.
And, everybody talks about the dash in your life, the year you're born, the year you pass, and what's the dash? Well, it's the same thing in ReDirect-U. It's the dash in the sense that we've left our career and now it's about me. What is that stuff that's going to make me more purposeful, more engaging, and trying things that I can do things. I finally have a chance of doing the things that I want to do versus the things that I need to do. And that was huge. I'm a producer. All right. So I love to do things. I love to roll my sleeves up and just get right into it. So what's next? And then I started thinking, oh my gosh, what's my purpose? Ooh, purpose. That's a big word. You said it earlier. It is daunting. I think of these big grandiose things, but no, back it down a little bit. It doesn't have to be huge. It just can be what's going to get me out of bed and get one foot moving in front of the other and doing something about it.
It's not like it's due on Friday.
Correct. No more reports. No more Zoom meetings. No more challenged on the revenue number. You're exactly right. There's no gun to my head. That's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing.
So different.
There's such a freedom.
Yep.
There's such a freedom. When that day came, it was like I'm on vacation. It felt that way. But then after the third week,
it only lasts so long.
Correct. But you know what? The freedom that you have to be able to make the decision that this is what I want to do today. Wow. It's refreshing. It is really, really, really refreshing. So I told you about ReDirect-U and how it came about as far as the naming, but even the words, I don't really necessarily like to use the word retirement because when you look it up in the dictionary, there's a number of different things, but let's think about the associations you have with it. Retirement. Okay. Sports athletes, they're retired. Their number goes up in the rafters. But remember, most of these athletes are like 32 years old and they're retired. What are they going to do? In the dictionary, it says to withdraw, to pull yourself back from. It even says at one point to go to bed. All right. No, that's not me. I'm a go-getter. I love to be engaged. I'm moving. I'm shaking. I'm making things happen. And I'm going to be darned if I'm just going to sit around and do nothing.
I had the same kind of experience, but it wasn't with the word redirect. We called it the Next 30. I was part of a group that would meet every quarter, and we would get into a big discussion about we're not going to retire. We're just going to be doing our next career. And that always, to me, felt like about 30 years. So you were kind of going through the same thing.
Yeah. And as you guys know, I'm a Christian, all right? And I realize that I'm not in control of a lot of things. I found that out in many, many ways that were sometimes embarrassing, but also real. And I spent a lot of time in prayer, and I love to go for walks. So I listen to devotions. And there was a Bible verse that just sort of came out at this time that really resonated with me. And it's Jeremiah 29:11. And it says this, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." And I'm like, okay, I know where I'm going. And that's a beautiful thing. So what am I going to be doing now? I've talked to many retirement people. How did you deal with it? Oh, you're going to be busier than you ever have.
Still working. You're putting your plans together to retire.
Oh, yeah. I was thinking about the leaving aspect for probably 3 years. I mean, I had
people you talked to. Did you get the sense that was common? Like that's a normal amount of time to consider this?
I didn't get that. I think it's my character. I don't know what they were thinking. I didn't really ask him that question, Adam. I just know I'm a type of guy. I'm analytical. I love spreadsheets, that I need to have a plan. And the business that I was involved with and the strategic planning that we did, we're working 6 months out as far as selling in goods, but we were also planning the business out for 3 to 5 years. So I needed
So you're just like in that mode year over year of looking that far out. So when considering your own future,
correct,
it's a very natural process for you to contemplate it for that long.
Correct. A natural process that drove me crazy.
Yeah.
And I think you're unique. I've talked to a lot of different people who, they'll talk about retirement. Nobody's thinking about it like this 3-year process that you're going to go through. And I think that's how we really got to redirect.
Yeah, and I think we're talking about like the exit strategy.
So
the exit strategy, a lot of people contemplate retirement for quite a while. They do all the financial preparing and they, do all of the steps. But the actual exit strategy, I am on approach. This plane is landing and I'm going to figure out where I'm going to put it down. That took you 3 years.
Yeah. But it wasn't, I mean, when I hear you say put the plane down, that means like we've landed and we're not going anywhere else.
It's a layover.
It's a layover.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I like that. I like that a lot. No, that's definitely the case. And, Dale, you said a word unique. What was unique for me is that this was my situation and it was so new and unknown to me. But after talking to other people, even though I had a different way of viewing it or planning for it, I found that I wasn't alone in regard to the unique aspect of the transition from career to retirement.
Turns out you're unique, just like everybody else.
Exactly. I had to trust in God, but there's all these things in the world that are sort of holding me from making that leap of faith. And that's what it came down to, is that I felt that I had greater purpose. I've got a lot of things going on in my world that I still want to do. Why not make it happen?
So retirement's supposed to be this big celebration, Curt.
Yeah.
Celebrate.
Yeah.
And wasn't it this big celebration for you?
It was. I mean, let me explain the last day. So I'm on a call with the 2 people that I worked with like every day in building the business. And I was 4:55 in the afternoon on a Friday. And it was my last call with them. We had a little toast over Zoom. And it was my time to say goodbye. And it was the last time that I spoke with them in my capacity. Hung up and I cried. I cried for 15 minutes. That part of my life was behind me now. And the questions of what am I going to do? How am I going to get after it? That Monday, I was celebrating, my friend. I mean, the freedom that I had, the knowing that it was like, and the best phrase that my wife always used to tell me when I was working, and now I can say it myself, it's not my problem.
What a unique, interesting feeling that must be.
Oh, it was tremendous. It was tremendous. It's euphoric. I felt things fall off my shoulders. I was standing taller. I was more engaged with things that were going around me. I had this beautiful, beautiful feeling of like, wow, this is going to be really, really cool.
Guys, this might be a good chance to take a quick break. All right? We'll be right back. Hey there. If you're enjoying this episode, we've got a small favor to ask. Actually, it's a pretty big one. Take a moment to like and share this episode with your friends and family. Then, follow the Redirect podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. It's quick, it's free, and it helps us keep bringing you great content every week. And if you really want to make a difference, drop us a 5-star review. Those reviews will help us spread the word and keep the community growing. So hit that follow button, share it with a friend, and let us know what you think. We really appreciate you guys. Now, let's get back to it.
And then there's this gap between that Monday and the inception of ReDirect-U. What led you up to that?
Well, I retired a year ago, 2023 in September. So when I had that Monday, me being the strategic planner, I already had a plan put together. So come Wednesday, I was engaged with a volunteer group. And then I went to a Bible study on Thursday morning. And then I played golf with somebody. And I had my calendar fairly full of things to do. And it was great. I loved everything I wanted to do. It was in my plan of all the things that I was doing. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it.
What'd the plan look like?
Well, the plan had a bunch of things in it, like, a mission statement. So I said, what am I all about? And I want to live life on purpose. The imperatives that I had in my plan was I want to be in the moment, be present in everything. I want to be spontaneous, and I want to help others. Okay. Then came the part of like, okay, where am I going to focus myself? And I took things that were important to me and prioritized them. First one being faith. All right. As I said, Christian, God's in the forefront of all the things that I try to do. I try to give glory to him. So faith is number one. Next is health. If you don't have health when you're in your retirement age, then you can't really enjoy your retirement time. So had to focus on my health. Work, as we know, you're moving, you're walking through airports, you're involved with events. So I had to find some things to replace that. Then I had activity. That's the stuff that's spontaneous. That is to do with my wife. That were all those little moments when she said, hey, Curt, over lunch, can you come on out and do this? And I'm like, no, I got a Zoom call. Or, hey, let's go play golf. Or, hey, let's go work in the garden. Or, hey, let's do all the things that you've always wanted to do that you compressed on the weekend, but now I can do it any time of the day. The next thing is my son, Alex. He's very near and dear to me, and we've got some things to work with him on as far as helping him with an independent life. So I'm here to teach and to help him so that when we go join the Lord, that he's got something that he can hold on to that's his. And then the last part is doing this, because the redirect concept I was now putting into place is like, how can I give of me to others? Let it be what I know in my profession. How can we help other men and women that have been engaged in work for so long, and now they're making a transition into a completely unknown situation because we are all going through it at some point in our life. So let's talk about it. And when you go online to check retirement, 95% of the stuff is financial. Then you got healthcare, but nobody is talking about that person.
The person.
Yeah.
You taking care of you and what you do with you on Tuesday.
Yeah.
So you retired in 23.
Yep.
So tell us about how long you've been putting this together, because this is a great process. Love how you're thinking through this for somebody who is now considering this or maybe in the process of retiring.
Yeah.
What kind of time frame are you talking?
Well, again, my story. I would say the last 2 years of my career was when I was really starting to kick this redirect thing around. And then the last year of it, I was really focused on this, that I do my job during the day and I do the, expectations and meet all the goals and such from people that I worked with. But on the off time, I was developing my plan. I was thinking about what I'm going to do.
Yeah, I want to quote my father, who once told me, Dale, when you decide to retire, you're not retiring from something, you're retiring to something. Sounds like you've been putting this into plans for a while, that you were thinking about going forward and what you were going to go to and not from.
Correct. I mean, I put myself out there. I put myself in situations that I wasn't comfortable with before because you don't know the outcome. And that's sort of the fun thing. I threw myself out there, I get into something, and all of a sudden I start having conversations with people that leads to something else, that leads to something else. And if I didn't make that jump initially, I would not have had that third experience.
Totally.
That just made a difference in my life.
The law of unintended consequences.
Yeah.
Outcomes that you can't anticipate that lead you to places. And if you're making good choices that honor God and your family and your own character and society, you'll end up in places maybe unintentionally that are of great benefit to yourself and others.
And keep in mind, as we talk here today, I'm still a work in progress. I'm still learning about me. Then I said, well, I got to get some work because I still need to make money. So I got this job at the local nursery. And I worked there Tuesdays through Saturdays. in the spring all the way through June. And it was great. Great exercise outside, met a lot of people, great environment. Oh, and every other Friday, I got a paycheck. And that paid for my golf. It paid for a dinner out with my wife. But it also made me feel like I'm contributing like I always did. And it's a mental thing. Again, that's me. That's me.
Can I say that kind of feels like a new career?
A new career? Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't call it a career. I've pulled my skill sets and my personality and character from what I did during the career. I'm applying it into a new way, and I'm creating a new identity in me that is going to be something different.
So I think that's where I'm personally most excited about the Redirect-U.com, if you're looking for it, folks, and the Redirect podcast, and how I think it's really going to have an opportunity to help people. And so when you and I were talking, Curt, and then separately with Dale, I mean, I got excited for you because I thought, man, you've got something here that I think is going to really help some people. And the idea of how to bring that to bear on potential audiences and how to get the help out there, because there's so few resources that help people focus on the person, then we've got plenty of content. We've got a program. You've got some material and some programmatic approaches to sculpting your retirement years and redirecting those purposes. So out of that was born the Redirect podcast. And man, mapping out the potential topics that we could start talking through. I'm excited because this is going to be a lot of help, I think, to a lot of people.
Yeah. Initially for me, it started with myself, and that led to those conversations with you two. I mean, Dale, I sat with you because you're in that position of, you've been in a career, you started a company, you're starting to walk away from that, you're in transition. And I shared with you what I put together, and I think it sort of made your eyes open up a little bit, putting words in your mouth.
Everybody I've talked to about this, Curt, eyes get opened up the minute you start talking about this topic, because it's important to everybody.
Yeah. So then I shared with you, Adam, and you're talking about all this potential, and I'm like, hey, guys, who am I? I'm just a guy that's just going through it.
You're a regular dude.
I am a regular dude. A regular dude. And my whole feeling on this is just, one person at a time, just one step at a time, one person at a time. And then you guys start saying, hey, we got to tell this story to others. And yes, I believe that our podcasts and the topics that we're going to talk about, they're just going to be vast. I mean, I even want to have people come in here that are in their journey presently. Let it be at work thinking about it, or currently retired, just recently retired, or maybe retired for 15 years, that we want to hear their story on what they did and to see if it resonates and helps people. Yeah.
I think there's going to be two big things that come out of this, right? The particular nuts and bolts, the content of a given topic and how it specifically helps people. And then secondarily, we're going to end up creating our own community, and hopefully a larger community of people who need this kind of content to make it okay for them to ponder, like, hey, I got my money squared away. I'm trying to take care of my health care, but man, I've just kind of forgotten about the idea of focusing on me and what I'm actually going to do and finding purpose.
And we're going to help one another. Okay. Because as I said, I'm still a work in progress. Dale, you're walking, you're transitioning.
I'm in and out.
You're on the gangplank. Yeah, you're in and out. When are you going to make that
Can't
call,
leave
baby?
my baby.
What's going on?
Well,
and then you, Adam.
Yeah, I'm out. I'm still, I'm almost.
You're in.
You're in.
I'm out of the process.
Thank you for your work. You're helping me.
That's right.
But you've got 15 years before.
15 or 18.
Yeah. So we have three different points of view here, of somebody that is sort of focused on it, and that'd be me and all the things that I think about. And then Dale being in the middle of it all and seeing the value and understanding where he is. And then you just like, wow, I never really thought about that.
Mm-hmm. And in my situation and being in this transition and talking, I find people who are in this position where they decide they're just going to stay into it. Mm-hmm. I've talked to people who are still working in their 70s. And honestly, I think it came down to something about a fear of boredom. Mm-hmm. It was a fear of, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be as busy. Or I truly love what I do, and I have to think about what are the aspects of what I do that I love, because that's what I can redirect into my next 30 years if I want to go back to that, and it's taken the time and doing a program like Redirect that gets me to focus on those priorities and me going through and saying, hey, what's most important about life? Because you could be gone tomorrow. You could be gone in a month. You could be gone in a year. That's real. That whole mortality thing, which we will also address in the future, is something that when you face that, all of a sudden perspectives become more clear, or priorities become more clear. Because if I gave you, Curt, you got a week, my guess is you're going to take a little bit of time to think about how you're going to spend that week, and you're going to put together a plan to live it to the fullest, according to Curt, and not, providing for shareholders.
Right. You're exactly right, Dale. And there are people that are going to work until they can't.
Either by choice or by need, it's going to happen.
Correct. And that's just a person's personality. That's what they want to do. Fantastic. You've got your purpose. Then there's people that are wanting to get out right away, but I just want to go fish all the time. That's great too. Or you want to be the best grandparent you can be. That's great too. That's getting you out of bed. But then the question is, can you go fishing on a rainy day? And what happens when your grandkids get older and they go off to school? And what happens if you're a person that's working and has all the money in the world, and you haven't challenged yourself to go outside of your comfort zone to try something new, to see what else is out there? I'm not here to persuade anybody to do anything, but it's an awareness. There's more out there, and can I just throw myself out there and see what it's all about?
I think the majority of us want to continue to grow. That's just something that shouldn't stop when you decide to retire. You can stop growing in that career, but now it's growing in life. And I will go out there and say, this is relationships. Yeah. And everybody I talk to will come back to, they're looking for classes to get into. They want to the brain keeps growing. That's about the only part of your body, because everything else starts falling apart. As I'm a great example of fake hips, fake shoulders.
Well, you carry it well, my friend.
Necks.
You carry it well.
Gosh. Yeah, but that desire to grow forces that analysis of, who am I? What do I want to do? Because one thing that I got out of just hanging with you, Curt, you said, hey, why don't you take a look at what you're doing and why you're doing it? And when you start thinking about that, you're doing it for a reason. And if those reasons fall under this umbrella of my purpose, which, yes, that word, you know what? I'm growing toward that.
Yeah.
So what are we talking about next?
Well, I think we're going to be talking about what we call the Big Five. And those are going to be the stages of retirement, from pre-retirement to identifying your purpose.
So that'll be good to unpack and talk about how to manage those stages of retirement. Guys, I feel like I've got as an outsider looking into retirement.
No, you're in it. You just don't know it yet.
In that early process.
That's right.
You're in the wading pool, baby. You haven't jumped in the deep end yet.
And I feel like since I've got such a runway for that, I got a bit of a cheat code, and the game hasn't even started for me yet. So I appreciate your perspective.
I can honestly say that earlier on, when I was considering, hey, I should start planning for retirement, I didn't have this. Mm-hmm. I didn't really have that way. I did have a bunch of financial people telling me, here's what you got to be doing. I'm worrying about what am I going to be able to make through Social Security? Am I going to be able to live to 100? Do I have enough money to do that? These are the natural things to start thinking about. You don't think about the person yourself.
Let's wrap it up for today. Guys, great conversation, nice origin story. And so it begins, right?
It's great to have you on the ride.
That's right. We want to thank Gianna Demona and the University of Cincinnati 1819 Innovation Hub for allowing us to use the eSports recording studio to record our podcast. The Redirect podcast music is from Sound Gallery by Dimitri Terrace. Want more information on how to redirect your purpose in retirement? Check out the ReDirect-U website at ReDirect-U.com. Do you have something you want to share? Do you have a question about your redirect strategy? Please email us at info@redirect-u.com. We would like to hear from you. Check out the latest Redirect podcast episode, as well as see all the Redirect episodes on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Remember, there is purpose in your life, so find it and go do something about it.